My ex and I have a young teen daughter, Nicole. Nicole has several medical conditions that require a lot of attention. She'll need some in-home assistance for the rest of her life. While we have an aide to help a couple of days a week, it's still challenging. The outcome of Nicole's condition became apparent when she was a toddler. At that point, my ex and I agreed we wouldn't have more kids because it wouldn't be fair to anyone. There'd be no way that we could focus the attention on 2 kids. Someone would lose out in the situation. We divorced when Nicole was 5. We originally had 50-50 custody. 3 years later, my ex remarried. His new wife, Callie, is nice. My ex did say that she didn't understand the severity of Nicole's condition. I figured there was a learning curve. Eventually, Callie basically said she wanted to be hands-off, which I respected, though I wondered how that'd work, considering Nicole lives with them half the time. Last year, my ex and Callie had a baby. I was a little surprised, given that my ex was always firm on not having more kids, but I figured it wasn't my business. He began complaining that juggling Nicole and the baby was a lot of work. I sympathized, but didn't know what else to say. Recently, the venting got worse. He said Callie yelled at him for taking Nicole to her physical therapy appointment instead of helping her with the baby. He brought up potentially having Nicole stay with me more. I wasn't entirely shocked, but it pissed me off. I said Nicole was his daughter. He can't just abandon that responsibility. He asked what he was supposed to do about the baby. I said, maybe you should have thought of that before you procreated. I mean, we discussed this 10 years ago as to why it'd be hard to juggle 2 kids. Why did you think having another would be a good idea? He got quiet and said that Callie wanted a baby. I said that wasn't enough of a reason, and maybe he should have thought harder before bringing more life into this world. The conversation ended with me saying I'd call my lawyer and we could arrange for him to have less custody, as I'd rather my daughter be adequately cared for than to be viewed as a burden. Callie called me that night, very upset that I'd made my ex cry and that I said her baby shouldn't exist. I told her that's not what I said completely, more that they didn't think it through. She called me a jerk. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. I assume Callie had a dream of Nicole magically disappearing to your place so she and her ex can have their happy new trio. You are correct to hold him accountable, especially if Nicole has the mental capacity to know she's being shut out. Yeah, it feels like a long con to use the baby as an excuse to push Nicole out. It seems like it's working too, which is sad. I hope OP has a good lawyer who can make sure her ex pays as much as he can afford for respite care. What? Nothing left to cover a sitter for date night with Callie? Too bad, so sad. OP, your ex found out. Make sure any support is adjusted as well. If he puts in less effort, he must pay to compensate and push for the maximum possible. Sadly, this is not how it works. The way OP plays it, this will end with OP having full custody. She's sending her lawyer to court for more custody, and OP's ex ends up paying slightly bigger child support and doing nothing more. If OP had more sense, she would block the new wife's number and discuss responsibilities with the child's parent. And if she had any sense, she'll forego the emotional responses. These will not help the kid. That'll only help her ex get out without feeling guilty because OP's taking the kid from him and stealing his chance to have a relationship with his kid. The reasonable reaction would have been, yeah, it's hard for all of us. Please vent to someone else. Agreed. OP, you are the idiot. Functionally, your ex asked you to take your daughter for more time because he has a new baby and it's stressful. That's it. That's the whole thing. The rest is a melange of everyone's emotions surrounding this transition. Y'all have been divorced for years. Your ex is absolutely entitled to have another child with his wife. He needed help, but he wasn't angry. He just seems overwhelmed in your telling of events. For the time being, he just needs you to take y'all daughter more until the baby isn't a baby. Please don't alienate your daughter, because that's what Callie wants. My husband and I met in college. Before that, he dated Millie from ages 14 to 17. When I first met his family, they all seemed to be in awe of me, and it was quite awkward. So he explained that his family and most people in his life before college believed that he and Millie would be together forever. I was uncomfortable, but he assured me he loves me and only me. We had a few fights over things his friend said, but ultimately it was clear that we were being dumb. I didn't have any problems related to Millie for several years. Everyone seemed to have moved on. My husband and I now have 3 kids. My middle son, a young grammar schooler, is in the same grade as Millie's son. They're in different classes, and I only learned about this after my mother-in-law passively mentioned it. The moms in my son's class created a group chat. A couple of days ago, Millie contacted me and asked if I could add her to this group chat. She said she and her son are having trouble connecting with the other moms and kids, which would be a huge help. I was a bit confused as to why she was asking me for permission and how she got my number, but I quickly realized that the other moms probably told her, and out of consideration for me, wanted her to ask me. I'm not sure. Most of the women grew up with Millie, so they know everything. I told her I couldn't stop anyone if they wanted to add her, but I'd rather she not join. Besides, it's a class group chat, and her son isn't in it. She got upset and asked if I was only saying no because of her history with my husband. I said, well, yeah. She then said that I'm being sensitive and petty. I told her that I was uncomfortable. She said not everything is about me, and I'm being selfish. I made a sarcastic comment about protecting my peace before firmly telling her she wouldn't change my mind and that neither she nor her son was my responsibility. Millie got even angrier and said that I was the only person still hung up over their relationship and that I needed to grow up and stop being so insecure. She also accused me of being elitist. She's still at it and will tell anyone who'll listen about how I'm being selfish and how I'm so hung up over the past. My husband thinks we're all being ridiculous. He was joking when he said that, but I don't know. One of the moms in the group chat privately asked me about the whole thing, and she just said, So I don't know, but they said they weren't going to add her unless I gave my permission. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. So to be clear, you're not going to add another married woman with a son who needs help, who reached out to you to be respectful, to a group chat because she dated your husband in high school? Why? Are you still in high school? This isn't elitism. This is pettiness at its finest. It's a class group chat, and her kid isn't in a class. And OP should have said that and stood on principle. I would never give another woman the satisfaction she gave Millie, and I'd eat a shoe before my grown butt admitted I was insecure about someone else's 3-year high school relationship. This is wild. Everyone's the idiot here. In my opinion, OP is insecure and jealous, but she's totally in the right. The group chat is for parents of students in the same class, presumably so they can coordinate carpooling, lost and found class parties, and that sort of thing. None of this will apply to Millie. She needs to talk to the parents whose kids are in the same class as her child. It's weird and intrusive that Millie's pressuring OP for permission to join. I'd be weirded out too if my spouse's ex wanted inside information on our child's school activities. You are the idiot, not for not accepting her in the group chat, but for making a huge deal of her presence. It's kind of baffling that you would give so much importance to your husband's ex. I would understand if the breakup was new, but you're married to this man and have children with him. He's moved on a long time ago, but you never did. Why does this woman still make you uncomfortable? Grow up, so you know they have a group chat without you, talking about how insane you are, right? I'm sure Millie is in that one. My husband, 45, and I, 25, have been together for 4 years. I thought he would be my last. We have 2 kids together, with another on the way. For a bit of a backstory on why I went through his phone. In our first year together, he started getting conservative over his phone. My cousin's husband caught him flirting with the cashier while I was pregnant with our first. This caused a lot of trust issues, and as the years went by, I was no longer allowed to touch his phone in any way. I have caught him talking with many other women on Facebook, but he always makes sure to delete conversations, so what I would read wasn't anything inappropriate. until I checked out his Google chats, as it was in an app that he had previously downloaded. Luckily, phone saved login info, and I got in. He told other women that he loved them, sent them pictures, and told them how much he wanted to meet them. He attempted to meet with many of these women, but I never saw where they agreed to meet, so I'm not sure if he's fully done the deed. I'm 25 weeks pregnant right now, and my hormones are going crazy. It's hard to keep from fighting, but I feel as if I've been crushed. He's upset that I keep bringing these issues up, but how do you just get over it when it's only been 3 days since I found everything, and I'm still finding more? It's all in the uninstalled apps. I want to leave him, but my oldest kid from a previous relationship, who's a young grammar schooler, calls him dad, and the kids would have a hard time adjusting. I feel like our family's been destroyed, and I really don't know what to do. He keeps telling me he didn't cheat because he never met any of them, but I still feel like what he was doing was cheating. Not the idiot. Are you serious, girl? He's emotionally cheating, sending pics, and making plans to meet up with other women while you're pregnant with his child? And he has the nerve to say he didn't cheat because he didn't meet them? That's a load of crap. He's betraying your trust and disrespecting your relationship. Don't let him gaslight you into thinking it's not a big deal. Your well-being and the well-being of your kids should come first. Get out of there and find someone who deserves you. I stopped reading at the I'm 25 and have our third kid on the way with the 45-year-old. Lady, what on God's green earth are you doing with this man? You were 21 when you started dating a 41-year-old? 3 kids in 4 years? And you already have a young grammar schooler? This dude has been treating you like crap pretty much your entire relationship. He's keeping you knocked up and dependent so he can have his cake and eat it too. You've pretty much been pregnant or postpartum your entire relationship. I cut her some slack, as he most likely used his wealth, knowledge, and power to manipulate her. But still, darling, take a breath and read this story to yourself as if reading it for the first time. This is insane. Yes, he's cheating. What are you doing with him? No matter what you do, his behavior will not change. Ultimately, the kids will be fine. Make some sensible plans and get rid of him. Yes, the kids will have some difficulty adjusting, but do you want to raise them with him as their role model and you as their model of accepting it? I know it's hard, but please leave him. This has been a built-up issue. My son got married this weekend, and this issue isn't dying, so I'm going here. My daughter has very bad anxiety. She's 19, and I'll call her Shelly. Shelly used to go to therapy when she was a minor, but stopped when she turned 18. Ever since then, her anxiety's been out of control, and due to this, she won't drive anymore. She has a license but refuses to drive. We live in the USA, and driving is basically needed, or it's a big inconvenience for the people around her. Also, she's an adult, so it's not like we can force her to drive. This is the issue. My son was getting married, and she was uncomfortable with so many people around at his wedding. She asked me to take her home. I told her no, and that if she was having difficulties, she should wait in the car. She told me it was freezing outside, and she needed to leave. I told her no again, to turn on the heat in the car, and to wait if she needed to be away from people. She didn't like this answer, and told me that she would have an attack if she stayed, and she needed to go home. I told her to take an Uber, that I was not leaving. She didn't like this, and this was turning into a full argument. Shelly told me I needed to take her home again, and I had enough. I told Shelly she was being selfish, that she had a ton of options, and that I wouldn't deprive her brother, my son, of his parents being at his wedding. If I took her home, I would miss his wedding, since it was an hour's drive here. She called me a jerk and left to stay in the car for a bit. She was back about an hour later for the rest of the wedding. She's been angry since, and her younger brother is copying her. Am I the idiot? Thank God you said no. Notice how she magically was able to cope when push came to shove. That tells you a lot. She's used to getting her way, and it's high time she starts living in the real world and taking responsibility for her own life. She needs to stop using anxiety, a perfectly normal emotion, as an excuse not to push herself to learn tools to cope and take responsibility for her own life and future, including seeking therapy if needed. Her emotional manipulation and threats need to lose the power they've had in the past. Not the idiot. It's called good parenting. She's 19, not 9. Notice how she didn't say, "I might have a panic attack," but rather, "Drive me home, or I will have a panic attack." She's weaponized her anxiety disorder. I wouldn't be surprised if the older bro had a ton of stories about her, using her anxiety as a way to hijack lots of important moments in his life while growing up. OP, your poor son would have never forgotten it if you left. Exactly. Shelley's been accommodated for way too long. She does nothing to manage or mitigate her own issues and expects everyone else to drop everything to do what she feels she needs. Thinking that it's okay to pull you away from your son's wedding? That's absolutely unacceptable. You need to start dealing with her differently, showing respect for yourself and others. It's her choice whether or not she goes to therapy. It is your choice whether or not you're a full-time caretaker and chauffeur to a grown woman who refuses to treat her own illness. She needs professional help and personal boundaries. I, 30 male, have been with my girlfriend, Kelly, 29, for 4 years and have known her for 10. Kelly's autistic, and one of her biggest problems is food. However, since getting together with me, she has opened up to a lot of new foods. For example, she wouldn't eat certain vegetables, as they are, but wouldn't mind having them blended in or cut into small pieces or spirals. Now my brother Kevin, 35, has recently proposed to his girlfriend of 3 years, Laura. He mentioned he had some news to announce and asked whether I'd be okay with him hosting a family dinner at my place since I love cooking. I said it wouldn't be a problem, and we've decided on a Japanese theme. Now to the issue. For the main dish, I made ramen, including the noodles and broth from scratch. It had to be chicken as Kelly doesn't like beef or pork, and my mother also doesn't eat pork. I've added some extra veggies, zucchini, carrots, sweet corn, and some others for Kelly's portion, since she's not fond of eggs. So naturally, her ramen was served without an egg, while everyone else had a standard portion, enough to fill up a grown man. I've also ensured some snacks were on the table, like tempura, yakitori skewers, onigiri, etc. Well, within the first half an hour of her being here, Laura kept picking on Kelly and kept saying she can't say she likes ramen because her version is not authentic. None of us are Asian or have any ties to Asia, if that matters, which was upsetting to her and meant that Kelly started to eat significantly slower compared to the rest of the group. It happens when she gets anxious. Then Laura tried to grab some of Kelly's ramen to try and prove the point, so Kelly freaked out since she doesn't like sharing food that's already on her plate. This resulted in an argument between Kelly and Laura, and Kelly began to cry due to being overwhelmed. After this, I asked my brother and Laura to leave. My parents were absolutely terrified over how Laura behaved towards Kelly and hinted that Laura should apologize. They ended up leaving, but later, I received a call from Kevin, calling me an idiot for kicking them out and spoiling Laura's pregnancy reveal. He also wasn't happy about our mother scolding him over Laura's behavior. Am I the idiot for kicking my brother and his fiancée out from my house? Not the idiot. How would she prove a point by grabbing Kelly's ramen? Because there wasn't an egg in it? This is all bizarre. Laura's a nut job, and your brother's in for a long, hard life. Good on you and your mom for sticking up for your girlfriend. Laura ruined her own night. All she had to do was eat her food and make her stupid announcement. I hope your girlfriend is doing okay. I certainly understand sudden loss of appetite when an anxious spell occurs. Hopefully your brother and his fiancée can reflect and realize they were in the wrong here. Laura is a mean girl. Not gonna lie. The idea of needing to gather a group and be the center of attention for a personal announcement is pretty cringe in the first place. I don't say this often, but I feel sorry for this kid if this is how she behaves among family because of a bowl of ramen. Who knows how she'll treat her own kid?